Former LMPD Detective Brett Hankison will likely learn a month from now whether the government plans to proceed with the new trial after a jury deadlocked on both counts against him last night.
Mistrials are relatively rare, but experts believe it's getting harder to convince juries to reach any kind of agreement. Wave News reporter Mark Stevens says part of the government's decision likely rests on approval from top officials in Washington.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor's family's lawyer told us last night the government plans to try again in its case against Brett Hankison. A third case would have his testimony from 2 trials, but whether another jury could be convinced to reach an agreement is anybody's guess.
Getting 12 people to agree on anything these days is more difficult, I think, than it used to be. And this case is very emotional.
Wave News legal analyst Leland Hulbert says whether the government decides to retry former LMP detective Brett Hankison will likely take a lot of sign-offs from Washington, D.C. He believes the government will wait until it sees the outcome of its cases against former officers Joshua Janes and Kyle Meany before taking another definitive step in Hankison's case. They're connected to the faulty warrant with the raid on Breonna Taylor's apartment.
The warrant cases involve different evidence, and if they get a conviction on those, that may change their decision-making on retrying Brett Hankison.
And the government already has a win with those cases, securing a guilty plea from Kelly Hannah Goodlett.
My guess is they will say they're going to keep the case alive and intend to try it. Whether or not they actually do, that remains to be seen.
Taylor's family attorney said the government had already made its decision to retry the case.
As the prosecutors intend to retry Brett Hankison.
A key question we don't have answered is how the jury was split. Clearly, the government convinced some of the jurors. A source suggests more than one juror voted to acquit, but 2 juries have now heard cases against Hankison, and none have convicted him.
If it was a slam dunk case, there is much more likely to be a verdict, a guilty verdict.
The Justice Department did not return our request for an interview. The next hearing in Hankison's case is set for a month from now. Mark Stevens, Wave News.
Thanks, Mark.